Our next topic, Brianna brought this topic up, and because I'm open to different forms of entertainment and information, and binge is the wrong term. I quickly watched the documentary of Framing Britney Spears. And, spoiler alert, I'm not a huge Britney fan, but I know Britney and I can read the tabloids. So I've kind of gotten the gist of, what's been going on with her for the past, 30 years or so. It's been, and that being said, I want to go to Brianna. Has anybody else seen it, or is it just myself and Brianna?
I haven't seen it, but I know. No, I mean, I haven't seen it. I would like to. I don't have Hulu.
You can get on FX. It's on FX too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can access. I'll have to see if I can access it, but I would watch it just because. But I've followed like all the stuff that she's gone through anyway. Like just because being a musician, that kind of stuff has always interested me yeah, definitely. I would start off with Brianna.
So Brianna, what were your thoughts on this? Obviously, you're the one that brought it up, so you have an opinion.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see it. I was really excited about it because, I grew up, like, I'm the age that, like, when I was in high school, like, we would come home from school and watch TRL. Like, that's what we did every single day, every single week. If you know what that is, yeah, it's just like watching the same music videos from the same, like, top 10 artists, and they'd bring them in. It was, like, always the coolest thing ever in Times Square. So, like, I was obviously like, I remember when Britney Spears first came to the scene. I remember all the guys like brought the CD in, we're talking about it. And like, she just took off from there. And a lot of it had to do with TRL. But yeah, it's just an interesting thing because so much of her, the height of her career and then all the struggles she went through. It was kind of sad to watch someone, go through that so publicly. So it was, the documentary itself, I thought was good. It is obviously biased, but that's on purpose. They're trying to show you that, maybe it isn't the best thing, the way the conservatorship has been set up. But again, they pitch it like her dad wasn't really involved until he kind of wiggled his way in. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just how they've pitched it. But it was interesting. I think it really shows just how terrible the paparazzi can be, but also that is a double-edged sword because like she also kind of wanted to put up with it sometimes because, she wants to be talked about and publicized and promoted, but especially as like her mental health started to decline, it really seemed like she probably had postpartum depression and these just terrible things that she was going through and very public. And it was like her life was just this kind of fishbowl. Everyone could look in, see it, judge it. And like, we don't even know her, so it's kind of crazy. And especially they focused on the events of like when she shaved her head. And then the night that like she took the umbrella and smashed that paparazzi's van. Like she had gone to Kevin Federline's house to try to get her kids. He turned her down. She was not in good spirits. She tried to go back. He turned her down again. And like, she just snapped. And it's just so sad. And just like, I don't know. My one, I guess, other main takeaway is, the way it's set up, it's just too many people have their hands in her pockets. Like she isn't even, I think, fighting having a conservatorship, but like, I don't think her dad should probably be in charge. And when they do set it up, it shouldn't be something where you get 5% of her Vegas proceeds because like you need to be acting on her behalf for her. And that's it. Like manage her portfolio, whatever. But it's just kind of sad, I feel bad for her after all of this. But even after it aired, though, like she's been very public on her Instagram, and she even posted like, guys, like, you don't know me, you don't know my story. So again, take it as a documentary. It's interesting. It teaches you a lot, but it's interesting to just see that whole timeline kind of play out.
True. And I use the term documentary loosely. It's,
yeah.
but don't get me wrong, it was informative, and obviously we all know Britney Spears, and just, you know, for those who haven't seen it, one of the main things about this is it's centered around, like Brianna said, the conservatorship that she's being placed under, which is a non-voluntary conservatorship. So she did have to sign away her rights essentially, but that's one of the biggest things is once you're kind of in that, it's very hard to get out of it. It's like being involuntarily committed to a certain extent. So she is, all of her finances are taken care of, where she goes, you know, her performance dates, that is all being managed without her say so. I mean, at least that's the narrative they're putting out in this. And what I did appreciate about it was them showing from day one Britney Spears, and where's she from? Tennessee,
Louisiana,
Kentucky, or Louisiana. That's what it is. Yeah.
Her starting from, you know, a rural area in Louisiana and going to, you know, pageants and, you know,
malls. Like that was the big thing. They would go to schools and malls.
And she was, you know, climbing her way up. I mean, putting in the work and just trying, and you know, it's definitely a story worth telling. And I hope somebody does her justice by telling an actual story of her arc. And
I want to see her. Like, I want to see her side of it. Just
it's a pretty intriguing story. One of the things that it did show as she progressed was the misogyny in the industry. That's one of the things that I really took away from it when she was
like the whole Justin Timberlake thing and everything.
Before that, remember when she was on what's that show that Ed McMahon hosted? You know,
whatever talent show thing that was.
Yeah, it was one of those talent shows where they bring out anybody just to, you know,
she was young too.
She was in
Star Search, was it?
Yes, it was Star Search. That's exactly what it was with Ed McMahon. And one of the things that he said to her, and again, I don't like to qualify things by saying it happened in a certain time because it was all right. No, what that really means is there was no consequence for saying things during a certain time.
Yeah.
What Ed McMahon basically said to her, and this is where you could see how the whole world was being laid out for her. She was a singer. She was, you know, there on the show. And while he's doing and talking to her, he's not asking her about, you know, how she learned how to sing, her influences, all that. He asked her, do you have a boyfriend? And again, this is a single digit child. And she's like, no, they're mean. And he goes, well, you know, all boys aren't mean. What about me? Could I be your boyfriend? And again, it's just, however you take it, he could have asked her anything else that you would have asked any other child. But you see the whole duality being set up about, well, girls are only known for, you know, who they're dating, or, you know, all those things. And definitely as it progressed, I saw a leaning into, and they were documenting it very well, how everybody was just, you know, for, you know, lack of a better term, slut shaming her. And when she broke up with Justin Timberlake, how it was his fault. I mean, her fault. And it was like and they used in the analogy, like it's in high school and the lucid woman breaks up with the star quarterback and everybody just shames her. And, you know, it's all scarlet letter and it's very.
But like, even when it was happening, I didn't even think about it that way. Like, I remember the Crimea River video came out and it was shocking because they had a person that looked literally exactly like her. And of course the lyrics are basically that she cheated on him. But like, I didn't even think about the fact that like we didn't get her side of it. She's never even spoken publicly. Like, I think they're okay now. I mean, she's like congratulated him in public, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And then even after all of this, Justin has made a statement about her and Janet Jackson together. Yep. But it's like, are you doing this because you actually want, like, feel bad, or are you just like are trying to save face? Like,
getting ahead of it.
He's a jerk, and he's trying to be a part of this new woke world. And and he's awful, and I never liked him since he had that haircut back in the 90s. But I'm sorry, Kenny, you were going to say something?
No, so like I was saying earlier, before the show, and you were telling me to save it.
Yeah, you were giving all the juicy goss.
I know, but
we just started going.
So, I have a lot of friends that are musicians. That aren't no one that's big or huge, but they all are full-time musicians. They're independent, and I know what kind of struggle it is for them on a day-to-day basis. So I can appreciate the struggles and stress that musicians in general go through. And I actually really was looking forward to this, but I agree with Brianna that I would like to see Britney Spears' story from Britney Spears' perspective, and something along the lines of there's an HBO documentary called Tiger about Tiger Woods, and they actually had a lot of people that were involved in his life, and they highlight the great things. They don't gloss over the bad things. And what you learn, and I imagine it was very similar for people like Britney Spears, Michael Jackson, and other musicians that have done this all their life. Like you learn that Tiger, in reality, didn't really have a choice in playing golf. Like that was his dad's decision from the get-go, that he saw talent in Tiger and he pushed him into that, and there was really no other option. Now, as an adult, Tiger does love the game of golf, but I don't want to go down that road right now. But I can see, like, Britney Spears, her story definitely needs to be told. I know you mentioned that she's entering a conservatorship. That's not necessarily true. She's been in a conservatorship since she was 26 years old. She is 39. That is 13 years that woman has not had control of her life, her finances, her day-to-day. Like, that has to do something, to a person. I can't imagine that. And I know that she recently, what it was is she was trying to get her father completely removed from the conservatorship and just have the financial institution manage her conservatorship, but the courts basically denied that and just and basically made it so it's joint. So her father is still part of the conservatorship, but there's also a financial institution, some kind of trust. So they're part. That's a partnership now. So that's who's managing her conservatorship. But
right,
in reality, that's the people that are managing her life and telling her what she can and can't do, what she can spend her money on, what she can't. And,
right. No, that's and forgive me. I don't think I actually said that it just started. I think that's what this is centered around. Yes,
okay.
She's been on it for a while, and yeah, like I was saying, is that they have run her entire life all the way through her Vegas. What do you call it? Internship.
But
what do you call it? An internship?
There's a different word for it. I can't remember.
Oh, you're talking about her show in Vegas, like her stint in Vegas.
It's kind of like a tour, but yeah, it's not really a tour because they stay in the one city.
It's exclusive in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, like, she was pushed into this from a young age, right? And her dad was her manager for the longest time. And I imagine that he was probably similar to, like, Tiger Woods' dad, that, you push.
One of the things and Brianna, you correct me if I'm wrong on this, because they're saying that he was not estranged, but he wasn't in her life until after she had made it. And then he came back to be her manager. So,
I think so.
So I had it wrong.
No, it's probably more on her mother. And that's why I'm saying that we should all check this out, because what it does, at least from its perspective, is chronicleize her life up until now, and they do make some abrupt jumps. I'm not going to say it's the best crafted, but I do like seeing. There was one scene where they were, and again, this was CNN, and what's his name, the Vanderbilt son.
No,
come on, white hair, the Silver Fox.
Silver Fox.
CNN. White hair.
Anderson Cooper?
Anderson Cooper, thank you.
Oh, I had to think. I'm like, I haven't paid attention to hosts
it's Anderson Cooper. New Year's Eve. Anderson Cooper, and and they were doing a news thing on Britney Spears. And again, just to put it in context, I mean, it's still kind of news, but back then with the paparazzi and just the news coverage, again, news coverage of celebrities. And somebody made a wonderful statement that just resonated. It said, we don't have royalty here. We have celebrities. And it's that's where all the fawning goes to. It doesn't go to a royal family, it just goes to people that are on TV. And I still just cringe at the amount of paparazzi that were around her, whether she had kind of a wink, wink, nudge, nudge setting it up, because she'd be going to the mall and very public places. And then the paparazzi were just there. I don't know the paparazzi lifestyle. I don't know how they get their information.
Oh, they are set up sometimes, but a lot of times they're literally just, they know where these people live and they will follow them.
Yep. They will hide out. They will hide out in cars parked down the street and just wait. And they'll do it. They'll work in teams. I mean, I will flat out, I don't care if they're human beings or not. I despise the paparazzi. I think of them as, I understand that they think it's a job they need to do. I think they're less than human.
Well, again, it's all about money.
They're professional harassers. And to me, the fact that your job revolves around trying to show someone in a bad light tells me that all it is a jealousy of someone else's lifestyle that you don't have. So you have to find dirt, and it's all about like trying to show that celebrities aren't perfect. But when did we think celebrities were perfect? Like, I think most of us understand everybody's a human being. Everybody has on days and off days. And that's what I wanted to add about these kind of documentaries is, I've said it in a couple of other episodes, or at least in one other episode, about how we tend to put these mentors and idols and celebrities on these just really high pedestals of perfection and think that they can't be, flawed. And then when they have a flaw, we have to just criticize and admonish them for what? It's these people are human too. And I understand that, people like Britney Spears or Michael Jackson or Tiger Woods or, any other, celebrity that makes a lot of money. It's easy to think of them as, they chose that lifestyle. They should deal with the consequences and, but they make a lot of money. So it counterbalances. And that, I don't think that's true. There's a lot of stress that comes in that lifestyle. Like, and that's one of the things I really liked about the Tiger Woods documentary on HBO is they showed, like, because he was so young when he went professional, and this lifestyle that he had to instantly adjust to, and there was a persona that he had to maintain all the time in public. That is a lot of stress to put on somebody. So you think about, like, Tiger Woods, he went professional in college. Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake, they went professional in the single digit years of their childhood. Like, they were all on, like, the what was it, Mickey Mouse
Clubhouse.
Like, that is a professional job. Like, that's not like a casual, thing. So from the time they were just, supposed to be playing in the dirt in the playground, they've had to have a public persona that they've had to craft and maintain. And I don't think anyone, unless they've been through that, can understand like that's the stress that puts on a person. And so I can appreciate those things, and I'm glad that some of these documentaries and stuff come out, because anyone that is able to have empathy can watch them and really see that there are different sides to these stories. And yes, somebody might be flawed, somebody might make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. It doesn't mean, like Britney Spears, yes, she had a mental breakdown, but what led to that? And just because she had a mental breakdown doesn't mean that she's a horrible person, doesn't mean that she's necessarily a terrible mother. I don't know what kind of mother she is day to day, but just because she had a mental break, people have mental breakdowns every day as just regular citizens. And, we don't criticize them.
Let me put a little perspective.
Sorry, I know I got on my.
No.
That was great.
I
agree.
just think those things need to be said.
No.
Yeah.
I hear you. I would want to just two little things. I would definitely say that some paparazzi are definitely, taking photographs of people at inopportune times for the money grab. But I would say that, to be fair, I'm not giving a percentage here, but some paparazzi are just, camping out, taking pictures while they're walking. Whether it's an opportune time or not, that's the occasion. But yeah, like when you're Ben Affleck, who's having a alcoholic moment and they're snapping shots in his car, that's, to get the fallen hero. When you're basically, doing a Photoshop of, Orlando Bloom on a boat with Katy Perry, that's not seeing them in a bad light. That's just, look, here they are in their everyday life. So I just want to say that there are bad, definitely intentions, but I wouldn't say that every paparazzi, the name is kind of probably a little, pejorative too. Just, that's all they do. And again, I'm not, I'm not paid for by the Paparazzi Consortium, and I'm not an advocate for paparazzi as a role. I would just say that you get your money where you can. I mean,
I'll add that a majority of celebrity images or images of celebrities that are like in secluded locations, their houses, the beach or whatever, and let's say they end up, let's say they're nude or something. Almost all of those images came from paparazzi. The ones that were obviously not taken with like a personal cell phone. Somebody had a private
It's a drone above their house.
No, but they do that. That is,
they lose in court.
Beyond despicable.
It is.
I completely understand, and I would say that telephoto lenses invading people's privacy is bad. Period. I would also say that it is not unheard of for people who are trying to get notoriety to contact said paparazzi and tell them where they're going to be. That is a thing. It is not.
I've heard that too, and I agree with that. But it's one of those things where this all stems from the paparazzi only exist because we as consumers want what they're selling.
Absolutely.
Right? Like we drive their business.
Yeah,
100%. No, I completely agree. And I would say that, how about this? Paparazzi is a beast. If you keep feeding it, it's going to end up biting you. And that's my a wonderful analogy of the day. Logan, did you have any thoughts in regards to this? Now, I know you haven't seen it, but just your overall take on celebrity and the, I guess, the entertainment of one's demise.
I think just that, much like meeting a celebrity at a convention, we are seeing a snippet of what we are being shown, not even of them, but just what we're being shown. And I think that there needs to be a lot of care and understanding placed in that. I could go to a convention and see, I'm making up a name, Smith, and
Patrick
they
Stewart.
could bite my head off and just be the most dickish that you could imagine. And that's my perspective of them. And I will never watch anything they're in. I'll never go see them again, or I'll never get anything signed, or I'll throw out my favorite Smith t-shirt, or whatever the case might be. But it's a moment. It's a thing. It's and the same thing with these kinds of documentaries, and whether it's a documentary, whether it's even just a paparazzi type thing, whether it's whatever, it's a snippet of what somebody else is trying to show or tell. So while there's some entertainment value in that, typically the people have dedicated their lives to entertainment in some form or another, sure. But for, the Britney thing or the Tiger thing, I'm personally not invested in that way, in their kind of celebrity that way. I think we do also have to be very, very careful in that there's never just one thing going on here. Yes, if you search, you can find some, but can you think of any conservatorships of male artists or actors off the top of your head?
That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, I was trying to get focused more on the act.
There are some, no doubt. You can search and you can find them. There definitely are some. Some of them they've chosen to voluntarily go into themselves. But I think the narrative and the story, especially around something like has been presented as Britney's situation, is very much a male-dominated control over a female performer. And there are lots of, I think, bigger concerns and issues there that should be taken into account that probably aren't been, if our current history and situation means anything. I think it's also you need to be very careful about just saying, oh, well, we don't know the pressures of celebrities, so, we don't know what they're dealing with. Yes. But if they are hurting somebody else because they are hurting, I'm sorry, but that doesn't matter. I could never in good conscience put Britney Spears, as we've seen so far with the information that we have available to us, and Michael Jackson in the same breath. That's not in any way, shape, or form a connection that I could ever make in good conscience. Crossing the line of hurting somebody or injuring or damaging or traumatizing in any way, shape, or form, yeah, you can have a screwed up life, and I'm sorry, but if you're screwing up others' lives, then it's kind of a null and void. I don't care what you've gone through. You can still choose to not be that kind of a person.
I mean, I would say this: damaged people don't get a pass.
No, they don't.
No,
But
I'm not saying that either.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And again, I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just making that comparison. That there are lots. I'm
glad you added that.
Yeah. No, there are lots of stories and lots of things and lots of places where it doesn't matter. And if you're going to cross that line, then you have to pay that price.
Well,
but we're all still seeing snippets of even those people.
And two points I wanted to my point in the Britney Spears was one of the things, because Kenny, you had mentioned that she had a mental breakdown. When you watch this documentary, I'm not really convinced she had a mental breakdown, just like I'm not convinced Dave Chappelle had a mental breakdown. I think you're looking at a narrative from somebody that wants you to be excited, wants you to be horrified, wants you to experience this emotion. So when to that point, when you're watching this documentary, I know nothing about her. I know what I've seen on camera, and I'm taking that with such a huge grain of salt because of like you're saying, the paparazzi are trying to portray certain things. It could be, them at their worst day. And I'm quite sure that none of us want a camera in our face on our worst day.
Yeah. To add to that, no, that's a really good point, Julian. And to add to that, I remember back when she went through the stage when she shaved her hair, right? And people just automatically assumed that she just snapped. The other side of that, in other corners of the music world, what was being said, or what, it was more like rumors, was that was her trying to basically push back against her father, who was basically at the time trying to, I can't remember if it was trying to control everything, but it was basically, it would damage her brand, which in turn hurt him. And I think that was like a way for her that was the only way she could affect him at the time. With the means she had, like that was the easiest way she had to basically to take a jab at him.
Yeah.
Was
I don't want
the brand.
I don't want to go down a dark road here, but she wouldn't be the first girl to try to make herself look ugly to get away from certain types of attention. That has definitely been a thing where some people would want to make themselves less appealing to push back on that desire that they've been getting. Not saying that anything is lascivious happening here, but emotionally, if she was seeing herself as just an object, and she had to be the sparkly, pretty, objectified thing all the time, perhaps that was not only a stab at her father for managing her, but also at society saying, I'm ugly, leave me alone now. Not saying that that's the case,
or even taking that out of it too. I think you're totally right. It could be as simple as control. I can't control anything in my life. This is the only thing I control. That's not a person who's out of their mind. How many I've done it. I mean, who hasn't shaved their head or dyed their hair or, just gone kind of radical because it's like, things are rough and I can't control anything, but I can cut my hair if I want to. And you know what? That makes me feel better. That's a healthy coping mechanism. That's trying to, do something to make yourself feel better that, again, isn't hurting anybody else.
And to that, I mean, and I want to say this because I remember when that whole thing was going on, I did hear, and this is internet rumor, it is not verified by anything. So please, take this as just a internet rumor, is that during the time there was custody battles going on between her and Kevin Federline. And I heard that there was going to be a drug test. And that one of the drug tests that they did utilize back in those days was taking hair samples to see, because you could be clean for a week, but it would still be tested in your hair if you had hair. And that was one of the things that were going around. Again, could be completely false. That could be a narrative. I would say this, is that if you're a multimillionaire and have access to everything, going to a barbershop to have your head shaved seems a little out of
it was erratic. She had a pattern of behavior in a very short amount of time.
And that's the thing. And so I don't like to label things as mentally ill. And quite frankly, that to me, that is just a prism where you can be on one end or the other. It's not a switch. It's more of a dimmer in my opinion. So maybe she was just having a really bad day, had bad, people around her, and she just wanted to get away. The thing that horrified me most, Brianna, was the fact that all these paparazzi, not that they knew where she was, but the accessibility they had to her, the literally on top of her, bumping into her. I'm like, you could hire a security detail and, keep people at bay. They do it now. They do it now very easily, where you can say, you step 1 foot closer, I'm smashing your camera. But she allowed them such, and I don't want to say her because I don't know the situation, but it was like watching jackals tearing apart an animal. They were all on top of her in such an amount. And it seemed like, and I don't want to, and again, to Logan's point, at a certain point, you have to start taking responsibility for yourself. And Michael, and I will say this, I will wrap it up with this because, this is a whole nother topic, but going back to the misogyny that I witnessed in this whole thing, and how women are crazy and they can't be trusted with their own money. And, oh, you got to take care of her because she's got a screw loose. I'll say this: Shia LaBeouf, Joaquin Phoenix, Michael Jackson, nobody took their money away. They just said, oh, he's just expressing himself. He's an artiste. But, I mean, they go to jail and multiple times for assault. And what does she do? She attacks a car with an umbrella. And
because she just wanted her kids that night.
Yeah,
like, that's what she was upset about.
But that really, I think to use a term I hear all the time, you hit the nail on the head, Julian. And it goes back to misogyny. And it's, I think we've learned in more recent years how rampant that has been in the entertainment industry as a whole. And it's a shame. But it's a shame that's the world we live in, but we know that's the world we live in. And, it's on us to be better.
Well, we're going to fix it all here. You just keep watching this show. You keep watching this show. We're going to give you all you need to know to make it to life.
Yeah,
That being said, I want to move on to the next topic.